John Wall makes it official. He's joined the Clippers. The Dodgers have increased their lead to 3.5 games in the NL West. And the Pac-12 is exploring all options after USC and UCLA left for the Big 10 in 2024. Exploring options. Kind of like we have to explore options in the back of the refrigerator after we haven't cleaned it out for 4 months. Hi, I'm James. This is your daily dose of sports and snark for the greatest sports city in the world, Los Angeles. This is Faithful Angelenos. I am awaiting my flight at the Omaha airport on July 2nd, 2022. What can I tell you about Omaha? Omaha is the steel-toed boot kicking the testicles of the United States. That's what I think of this town. But what the hell, let's talk LA sports. If you like the content we've been putting out for the last 4 months, clickety-clack the like button. Clickety-clack the subscribe button. There's a notification bell. Hit that. We try to put out videos between 9 and 10 a.m. every day. It'll let you know it's there. Sharing is caring. Let people know we exist. And yes, comment. After all, it's lonely here. Now, before we get through the notes and news for LA sports, let's go through the scoreboard first. Cody Bellinger and Max Muncy each hit home runs. Tony Gonsolin improves to 10-0. Dodgers 5, San Diego 1. They have a 3.5 game lead in the NL West. There's been a lot of talk, a lot of scuttlebutt about how the Dodgers aren't boat racing the division and all the injuries and that. Give the Dodgers credit. They are winning through grit and determination. It's actually kind of impressive when you take a step back and look. Also, Liz Cambridge and Nika Ogwumike scored 21 points each. The LA Sparks 97, Dallas 89. Meanwhile, today the Dodgers will play the Padres again at 5. Tyler Anderson is 8-1, going against Yu Darvish 7-3. And LAFC will play up north. They're going to take Vancouver on in MLS. That game starts at 7. John Wall made it official. It was a very poorly kept secret. We broke it down earlier this week about what John Wall would mean to the Clippers when he signs. So there's a Clippers playlist on the channel. If you want to go into detail, by all means, watch that. Having said that, he did get his new deal in 2 years, $13.2 million. Now, as a result, there's going to be a cap casualty. It's Isaiah Hartenstein. He already landed a new job as a free agent. He's going to the Knicks. Now, with the Lakers, sure, they're over the salary cap. And sure, part of the reason they're over the salary cap is $47 million from Russell Westbrook. And yes, they even have these pipe dreams of a Kyrie Irving trade, which I don't think will ever happen. But it's not all bad. Loul Deng's contract is finally off the books. Get in the Wayback Machine and go to 2016. The Lakers had cleared all this space under the salary cap, and they were going to make these great free agent signings to put the team back on top. And they signed Loul Deng and Timothy Mozgov. Now, for those of you who don't remember who Timothy Mozgov is, Google him on YouTube with the name Blake Griffin. Blake Griffin abused the poor guy on a dunk. Blake Griffin dragged his privates all over Timothy Mozgov's face. It was so horrifying. Imagine paying a ticket to see an NBA game, and instead you get a German fetish video played out right in front of your eyes. That's how nasty the dunk was. So eventually Mozgov was traded by the Lakers somewhere else, and then they stretched out Deng's contract until a couple of days ago. No longer on the books. The Pac-12 conference says it will explore all options after USC and UCLA decided to leave for the Big 10, which will happen in 2024. And then they clarified it. They said that they're trying to expand the conference. Good luck with that, guys. Good luck. See, when I heard about this, I went to the web and looked up news for San Diego State, for Boise State. There's no news about them even considering going to the Pac-12, which honestly would be two pretty decent choices, even though they're not needle movers compared to USC and UCLA. So if you're not going for mid-level schools on the upswing, the only other option is to raid some of these other super conferences for their teams. And I don't see it happening. I just don't. One thing we neglected to talk about yesterday with all the big hoopla surrounding SC and UCLA, what are the football teams going to have to do in order to compete with the Big Ten? And I think the answer is relatively obvious. They have to get tougher. Now, I'm not trying to say that they don't have tough guys on their team. What I'm saying to you is that in their recruiting, very quickly, they're going to have to concentrate on both the offensive and defensive lines. It's kind of an essential, because the Bruins play a spread, the Trojans play the air raid. Those are finesse offenses primarily. They're going to need a little bit more grit. So I think their belief is that they think maybe these Midwestern kids are going to see what life is like in LA, and they're going to say, you know what, do I really want to spend my young adulthood staying in Iowa? Of course not. We do have one Dodgers note. Mookie Betts is now hitting off of a pitching machine, trying to recover from that cracked rib. Now, there have been mixed stories about how the Dodgers will treat him once he's healthy again. There's a guy who thinks he's going to play second base. You really think Mookie Betts is going to be diving for ground balls up the middle with a cracked rib? Really? No. He's coming back as a DH, at least until everything is healed. At least that's my guess, and I think I'm right. Rams coach Sean McVay talking about former quarterback Jared Goff. Quote, the further we get away, the more appreciation we'll have for the great 4 years we did have together, because that was a lot of really good times. Basically, McVay and Goff are letting the relationship kind of thaw after that low-key animosity that was going on last year. It was low-key. They weren't like openly saying, I hate you, but you could kind of tell. Because when the trade for Stafford was made, it was obvious that McVay didn't think Goff could cut it. Now, Goff, to his credit, texted Sean McVay after the Super Bowl win and congratulated him. Same for Matthew Stafford. Now, if you want my 2 cents, and it's only worth 2 cents because I'm not in that locker room, I would just basically say McVay is such a hard-driving, hard-charging guy, and Goff, not so much. Chill. And so McVay's trying to change the offense, and you need to do this, and do this, and do this. And with a low-key guy, with a high-strung person, that communication sometimes gets lost in translation. Wouldn't you say? At least I would think it would. The Chargers. You know, when I was a younger man, much like many young men with dreams that were never going to happen, right? When we all thought we had these great futures ahead of us. You know, you dream of being a hero with the cape, the fireman or something, or maybe you dream of being the old football hero with the cheerleader on your arm. Why? If you're a young person listening to me now, you don't want to be the football hero. You want to be Chargers backup quarterback Chase Daniel. Take this advice, next generation. Seriously, how do I know this? Because Chase Daniel's bank account, he's made $41 million. And he's played 13 years in the NFL, but not really played. He's started 5 games. His 5 starts are worth over $8 million. Now, which would you rather be? Would you rather be the guy on the field getting his head kicked in by defensive lions, by Max Crosby, by everybody else in the AFC West? Do you want to leave the game with 2 busted up knees, a concussion, and your entrails left on the field while they wheel you out for the last time? Or would you rather be on the sideline collecting fat checks and looking at the women? Take the advice, kids. Be a backup quarterback. ESPN has ranked all the rosters in the NFL. They say the Chargers have the third best, top to bottom. And then to justify it, they said a bunch of things we already knew. Oh, we really love the pass rush. Yeah, we know. Oh, they have a question at right tackle. We know. We know these things. But I would say one thing I disagree with, the so-called X factor on the Chargers to them is Sebastian Joseph Day. I don't think so at all. I think he's going to be terrific in the middle of that defensive line. The Kings have signed a defenseman, Frederick Allard, and a goaltender, Matthew Villada. They both are minor leaguers. They get extensions, and honestly, I don't think they're going to mean a lot for the Kings. I just don't. They're not considered high prospects. Every so often, you'll get a story in the news, where are they now? And the LA Times did find gymnast for UCLA, Caitlin Ohashi. Now, I'm not going to sit there and claim I'm a gymnastics expert. I'd be BSing you if I did. But many of us saw Caitlin Ohashi. She was a viral sensation for her routines that were posted to YouTube in 2019. 40 million views. And why? Because she looked happy. And not just a little happy. It was a glorious, joyous sense of happy. And she was so happy to do her routines out on the mat that it just radiated and it captivated the crowd. And then they put it on YouTube and it captivated a nation. It was one of those things where somebody looked so happy. It was the type of happy that you wish you could have, that your spouse would have, your friends, your family, your neighbors. It was that joyous. And so they talked about her journey to being happy, because for a long time as a teenager when she was doing gymnastics, there's body shaming, there's the mental burnout of doing these gymnastic routines. But then during college, at her time in UCLA, she found herself. She accepted herself. And so all that stuff about body shaming and whatever went away, and she became happy. And even more importantly, she's happy now, which is great, because if you become viral and then all of a sudden the clicks die down because you're no longer in college, you can become depressed over those sort of things. And yet she's still happy. And that's kind of like a message that I kind of want to leave you with, because I want to be happy, go home, see my wife. So wherever Ms. Ohashi is, because I certainly am not going to be a creep about it, I'm glad she's happy. I am. Now, if you enjoyed this clip, don't forget to subscribe to Faithful Angelenos. We are trying to build something for LA sports here. Thank you for watching. I'm James. We'll be back tomorrow. Faithful Angelenos is a Corte El Queso production.